Hi there, this is Lee, and I'm giving an update on the recount in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The Jill Stein for President campaign is offering clarification in answer to many questions that have come up on the right, on the left, on the center, from third parties, from Democratic Party, from the Republican Party. All eyes on Jill Stein, waiting and wondering what's happening. So this is at Jill Stein's website, jill2016.com. It's her Pennsylvania announcement. If you read through this press release, you'll see that she does, or her campaign does, answer many questions and concerns that have been raised. Mostly, she makes the statement that it's necessary to verify the vote so that Americans of all parties can be sure that we have a fair, secure, and accurate voting system. And so she also explains the money, the donations for the recount, how the money is being handled. She's also saying that the recount effort is nonpartisan and that she's reached out to the Trump, Clinton, and Johnson campaigns to discuss the recount. And that while direct evidence of vote tampering or irregularities can only surface through a recount, there are experts who are saying that the possibility of hacking voting machines is enough to provide reason for concern, just the fact that there are machines being used. And this press release also dwells on the hackers and the hacking that took place throughout this election season. And that many states, including Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, continue to use outdated or unaccountable voting systems such as direct record electronic touchscreen machines. And that in Pennsylvania in particular, a paper record does not exist for votes made on those touchscreens. And so I'm thinking that in the case of Pennsylvania, that it may not be possible to verify the vote. The machine will tabulate, and then machine will tabulate again and come up with the same answer, maybe. But the fact that there is such resistance in Pennsylvania, so many barriers to the recount itself, is pretty interesting, I think. And it's a comment on the voting system in Pennsylvania, the fact that there's no accountability for the votes. Michigan is a different story. They use paper ballots, and the recounts have been done. And apparently Donald Trump is still ahead in those states, and there's apparently more accountability with the voting system than we've seen in some other places. Wisconsin is yet to be done. There's still some question of whether it will be hand counting of paper ballots or will the ballots be recounted by machine. And so that's being decided now. I'll let you look at this press release by Jill Stein on her website, and hopefully it'll answer some questions that people have. There's been a large amount of disturbance and feelings about the recount itself. I think some of it stemmed from the messaging around the recount, that there were different stories or explanations being offered for the recount, and that they varied to the extent that people didn't know what to believe. Questions of why these states were chosen, the fact that Michigan uses paper ballots, the commentary on hacking by Russian hackers, which was never really proven. It was just a theory offered. And also the fact that these states were all states won by Donald Trump, and that no states won by Hillary Clinton were chosen for recounting. I think it would have gone over better if there were more equivalency. It seemed one-sided in this case, and that there are indications that a recount may have been requested in New Hampshire, maybe even Minnesota, states very narrowly won by Hillary Clinton, just to even things out. Even not necessarily Michigan, but um, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, testing those states, and then testing Minnesota and New Hampshire, just to equalize the situation. So, and then the inclusion of Clinton in the effort naturally raised up a lot of concern too, as well, since she had been indicated to be the beneficiary, the sole beneficiary of accusations of election fraud throughout the Democratic primary. People were suspicious. They're still suspicious. Hopefully, this press release might clarify some things, but not entirely for everyone. There is an article also up at Counterpunch that might make it an interesting read as well. The Stein campaign and the fight for Green Party independence. It's dated November 28th. It's written by Brandy Baker, and Brandy Baker is the see, I'm scrolling down to the bottom of the article to find her title. She is a Green National Committee delegate for Maryland. And so in it, Brandy Baker expresses her concern about the lack or perception of the lack of true independence of the Green Party from the Democratic Party. Brandy Baker feels that it's very important for the Green Party to not only stand on its own, but to also be perceived by the electorate to be standing on its own and not collaborating or giving the appearance of collaborating with the Democratic Party or serving as an appendage of the Democratic Party, that the Green Party is its own party. And I'll leave that article also in the description. And then there's also a recent article at Tuesday discussing the Green Party's effort to sue Wisconsin over the recount method. And then again, that goes a little bit more in detail about whether Wisconsin will hand count or use its machines to count the paper ballots. So lots of things still going on with this effort. I'm going to let people read it for themselves and see what they think of the recount as it stands today, and what they think might happen. What I'm hoping will result is electoral reform, that we get rid of the machines once and for all. We've seen how the machines can be manipulated. Earlier this year in the Democratic primary, more concerns are being raised. The fact that there's no accountability in Pennsylvania, the fact that there is accountability in Michigan, pretty indicative of the integrity of these voting systems. And it gives people a lot to think about. Also, getting rid of the machines, the preference for hand counting, paper ballots, exit polling. Switzerland and Germany use paper ballots. They run their elections like a clock, and they're always below 1% in terms of margin of error as compared to exit polling. So much to recommend in future elections. If we've seen nothing else, if nothing else comes out of all this, the need for paper balloting once again as the very best method for elections going forward. Hopefully, there'll be more integrity in terms of voter registration and the whole shebang, the debating, the ballot access, the voting method, like instant runoff voting versus plurality voting, all kinds of things. There are many ways that we can improve our election system, and hopefully we'll learn more about that before this whole episode is over. In the meantime, we still need to not kind of lose sight of elections to come. 2017 and 2018 are closer than people think, and maybe not dwell entirely on what's happening today, but also keep an eye on the future, which of course that's decided by what happens today. But good luck.